Commissioner Malema.
Thank you very much, Chair. Is it a norm for a minister to send people to heads of courts to act like it happened in this case where a minister suggests that JP Mulambo must come and act at the Constitutional Court?
Did you say, is it a norm?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not a norm.
It's a first of its own kind.
I don't know if he or any other minister may have done it before, but it's certainly not a norm.
It didn't come as a shock to you that a minister can go all out to suggest someone to come and act, particularly a person who's even nominated for the position of Chief Justice?
Well, I don't think at that time he was nominated. There were nominations, but I did see it as unusual, but I acted in the manner in which I did.
On a separate matter, acting CJ, do you have a problem with criticism?
No, I don't.
Do you find a word, house nigger, an insult?
I considered it an insult.
It can be because in the historical academic category, this word is used by blacks criticizing other blacks. Malcolm X uses this word. Steve Biko uses this word when he describes 9 whites. Malcolm X says the house niggers actually wants to go and stay in a place like Saldanha and be the only one who says, I'm the only black here, because he loves his white so much. Biko says house niggers are black people who want to be white, who loves their white and want to destroy everyone who dares to destroy white supremacy. It can even be an academic criticism. And that's how she characterizes the black African judges who are sitting there, that they can go all out to destroy those who seek to destroy white supremacy with an intention to impress. It's an engagement which has not started now.
Well, I find, even when you explain it like that, Commissioner Malema, I would find it insulting to me.
No, but let me put it to you. Malcolm X says, the modern house Negro loves his master, prepared to pay 3 times for this house just to stay next to a white master. Biko says, house Negroes as a 9 white, blacks who seek to be white, yes. Blacks who fight against disruption of white supremacy. That's what Biko says.
But if Commissioner, I'm sorry, Acting Chief Justice. Please. Commissioner Malema, don't you think that it would be best, perhaps if there's a need to debate this at some other point, because here there's a difference of opinion. Whatever the case might be, as presently advised, if that is not an insult, that is clearly demeaning. And this is the position that is taken by the Acting Chief Justice. So, continuing with the debate has no virtue. It's not going to serve any purpose. You disagree on this. That's your understanding, is his understanding.
No, we're not disagreeing. You see, Chair, in this platform, we have persuaded people who have arrived at certain conclusions, and they come to accept that, you see, with the information that you just shared, I now appreciate that the way I was viewing it is different. We always persuaded one another here, and we've had a lot of people saying, I concede, I buy into that argument. That's what I was trying to do. And I'm trying to say to Acting CJ, when a person says house nigger, and I'm not a house nigger, why should I be bothered? There are a lot of people who say men are trash. I'm not trash, but I'm not going to call any press conference and say we're not going to be insulted here as men that were trash.
Commissioner Malema, let me interrupt you once again. I will allow you to put your final proposition to him, and whatever answers he gives, that should be the end of the matter.
My preposition is that a black African female engaging black African dominantly males and calling them house Negroes is not an insult. It is a criticism that is always accepted, especially in the academia and amongst Africans who criticize one another. Do you accept that?
No, I don't accept that, Commissioner Malema. I think it's very insulting.
The last point, it means Malcolm X and Biko have insulted us. The last point I want to raise is the issue on 2.5 years left. To be honest, acting CJ, what is it that you are going to do which you can't do now, which you have not done now? So you see what Judge Maya did when she came here. She said, when I came in, these are the commitments I've made. This is what I was able to deliver on. As an acting, as a CJ, deputy CJ, I came in, these are the powers I can execute, and this is what I've done. All I hear is what you are going to do, not what you have done. And you have been acting as well. I don't hear you say, this is what I've done, going forward, this is what I will do. Because the truth of the matter, acting CJ, is that, and you described it very nicely earlier. You said you are sitting with a CJ in the same office, calling people to come and be chairpersons of a commission, which clearly told me that there's a collective leadership between the CJ and the deputy CJ. So why would you want to leave the position of deputy CJ and become a CJ to do which you can't do as a deputy CJ in the next 2.5 years?
Thank you, Commissioner Malema. Well, I don't know whether I should say unfortunately or fortunately, but I didn't serve for a long time as DCJ before I was asked to chair the commission. So for a long time, I've spent most of my time in the commission. So I have not had as much time as I would have had if I had not accepted appointment as chairperson of the commission to get involved in a lot of matters that I would otherwise have been involved in as DCJ. And of course, since I became acting CJ from July, everyone knows that I've been doing that while at the same time trying to finish the important work of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, acting CJ. The last point, Chair, I'm going to ask that we be provided with the letter of the minister and the letter of the acting CJ to Judge President Mulambo to ascertain ourselves that indeed the minister did not attempt to interfere with this process after there were nomination of CJs. Because when we asked the JP Mulambo yesterday, he said, indeed it was in December, it was after. And Commissioner, I almost said Commissioner Nochesi said, in December, we had already defined the process, the roadmap to where we are now. So please, we want to get to the bottom of that matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Malema. I prefer to say nothing on that. Honorable Minister, you wanted to say something earlier.
Thank you, Acting President. I have requested my staff from the office that they must circulate the letter,
Yes.
Acting Chief Justice, that I wrote to you.
Yes.
And I want to confirm most of the things that you have said.
Yes. Thank
But
you.
I just want to go to section 175.1 of the Superior Courts Act. And I'm going to read it for the benefit of the
Sorry, there's no such
I
thing.
beg you.
Oh, of the Constitution, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no such.
I was wondering.
Of the Constitution, I'm sorry, Acting
Yes.
Chief Justice. Section 1751 of the Constitution says, the President may appoint a woman or a man to serve as an acting Deputy Chief Justice or Judge of the Constitutional Court if there is a vacancy in any of those offices, or if the person holding such an office is absent. It continues, the appointment must be made on the recommendation of the cabinet member responsible for the administration of justice, acting with the concurrence of the Chief Justice, and an appointment as an acting Deputy Chief Justice must be made from the ranks of the judges who had been appointed to the Constitutional Court in terms of Section 174(4). What is your understanding of this section?
Well, it says the minister makes recommendations to the president with the concurrence of the Chief Justice.
Section 1752 says, the cabinet member responsible for the administration of justice must appoint acting judges to other courts after consulting the senior judge of the court on which the acting judge will serve. And maybe, what is your understanding of this one?
Well, you might have to read that one again because I'm not sure if it's relevant for this question.
No, I just want to show the difference.
Yeah, just read it again.
It's not formulated the same way as the
Oh,
first
just read it.
The cabinet member responsible for the administration of justice must appoint acting judges to other courts after consulting the senior judge of the court on which the acting judge will serve.
Well, I guess all you are doing, Minister, is just to highlight what the Constitution says.
Yes.
And argument might arise later as to what it means.
Yes.
Commissioner Malema asked me the question and I clarified whether he was asking whether it was the norm. Not whether it was lawful or not. And I said, no, it's not the norm.
Yeah, I'm still going there,
Yes,
acting
okay.
Chief Justice. The point I want to prick you in, as you said, when we had the conversation, you did not clearly remember what we were dealing with.
Yes.
To the best of my collection, what I remember is that you were now requesting a further extension of appointments of the two JPs. I think it was JP Tlaling and JP Japi, if I'm not mistaken.
Not Japi, maybe DJP Madondo?
Yeah, I think DJP Madondo. So I raised the matter to say, there are other JPs. Why don't we also rotate and give them the same opportunity that we have afforded these other JPs? And I think, if I remember, that was the discussion that I raised at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
No, my recollection is different. I received a letter from you. So it was a letter that I received first. That was, as I recall now, saying, in effect, it looks like you at the Concord might not be giving judges president opportunities to act. It may have said, and other senior judges, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But certainly judges president, opportunities to act. And that you thought that they should be given opportunities, and you mentioned Judge President Mlambo, and you said you think that he has the necessary experience and has contributed to jurisprudence or something like that. And then after I had got that letter, I first phoned you.
Yes.
And we had a discussion, and what I said earlier is what, in effect, I said to you. And I said, I'm going to write to you and basically say the same thing. And when I spoke to you over the phone about it, and I told you that we had previously invited Judge President Lambo, and he declined, you were understanding. That's my impression that, okay, then, that was my understanding. But I decided I was going to respond to your letter because it seemed you had a wrong impression about whether we had been giving judges president opportunities. And in my response, I gave a number of JPs that we had given opportunities before, as well as senior judges. I mentioned the chairperson, for example, even though he may not have been a judge, just to show that we had given senior judges opportunities. So that's my recollection of how it happened.
Yeah, maybe when the letters come,
Yes,
they will
yes.
remind us. But
Yes,
my
sure.
collection is that it was prickled by the fact that
Yes.
it is to give other JPs an
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
But the letters will help.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there was that
Yes.
deliberation.
Yes.
Will you say that is an anomaly as the minister if I raise an issue to say, but there are other JPs, what is the process and all that? Couldn't we consider them?
Well, I think you are linking it to Commissioner Malema's question. He was simply asking whether it's a norm, and I said it's not a norm, which is obviously different from whether it's lawful or not lawful.
Oh, is it lawful?
No, I don't want to get involved in that.
Okay. No,
But
that's
what I
fine.
do know is that it's not normal. It had not happened in my experience, at least. But I think it had not happened to me, but we discussed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I
Okay,
think,
thank you, Minister.
It's fair to leave it at that.
Yes.
Acting Judge President, and I want to say, let the staff circulate the letter that I wrote.
Yes. And if they've got mine to you, they can circulate mine as well.
Thank you.
But if not, we will get it from my office. But if they've got mine that came to you, they can circulate that one as well.
Thank you. No,
Thank
I
you.
can confirm that my collection also is the same with you, that it was before the processes started.
Yes, okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Acting Chief Justice, before we take a comfort break, I just want, just following on this, would it perhaps have lessened or allayed your fears if the letter from the minister had merely said, consider inviting as many JPs as possible and not confine the invitation to, if I may put it that way, to a select few of judges, President, instead of going further and saying, I've got this candidate?
Well, in terms of, and one can only answer that question in terms of what the norm is. If the suggestion was, it looks like you are not giving judges, president an opportunities to come and act, just in general, maybe it might not have meant really anything. But the letter didn't just speak about Judge President Lambo. I think it started by talking in general about judges president. And then Judge President Lambo was then mentioned, but it started by, I think, expressing a concern that seemed to relate to judges president.
Thank you, Acting Chief Justice. I think it would be best perhaps not to
Chair.
draw you into
Yes.
what might
Yes.
turn out to be controversial. That
Yeah.
should be a matter that, as members of this commission, should, debate in the fullness of time.
Yeah.
Chair, can I come in there? Please, I don't want us to leave here with an impression that we are going to find in any of the letters a conversation that JP Mulambo must be appointed. That's not the letter I was asking. The letter we're asking to confirm if it came before the process or not. But the acting CJ says, following the letter, they had a conversation with the minister where the minister was very specific on an individual who must be invited to come and act. It's not in the letter. We won't find it in the letter.
No,
So we should take what the acting CJ says as is, because if we're going to debate there, and then the debate says, yeah, in the letter there is nowhere where they say Mulambo must act,
No, there is.
then
It's in the letter.
we'll be conflicted. But all I was saying is that I needed the letter to confirm if the letter came before the processes, and then the letter to JP to come and act, if it came before the roadmap were outlined, because he said the letter came in December, and if it came in December, it was already afterward outlined the roadmap to where we are now.
Commissioner Malema, obviously, the letters will be read in conjunction with whatever responses came from the
Thank you, Chair.
acting Chief Justice. They
May I
will
just
not be seen
clarify-
in
may I just
isolation.
clarify
By,
when you-
by all means, acting Chief Justice.
Yes, I just don't want Commissioner Malema or anybody to misunderstand. The conversation that I talked about, that I had with the minister, happened after I had received the minister's letter, but before I responded in writing to the minister. So before I responded to the minister in writing, I phoned him, we had that conversation. After we had spoken, I then wrote a letter which was saying, no, I can't take him, and we are giving opportunities to JPs and giving him a list. So I just want to make sure the sequence is not misunderstood.
Yes. Thank you, acting Chief Justice. Could we